The Vols that have departed, that they're still with us, but they're going to the NFL. The Vols that are headed to the NFL want to play a quick game after what we saw from Darnell Wright, and want to ask you: big loss, manageable, or that's fine? And so let's go big loss, no worries, so long. So we'll do it that way. Big loss, no worries, so long. I'm going to throw some names at you, and you tell me who you think Tennessee will miss the most in 2023. We saw the Senior Bowl, Darnell Wright, and listen, I know a lot of people don't watch an awful lot of offensive line play. It's easier to watch the ball. I don't think my wife has ever even seen an offensive line, but I think that Darnell Wright is a big loss. I think he was the most gifted, one of the most gifted athletes on the team, and by far the most gifted athlete on Tennessee's offensive line. So, Caleb, big loss, no worries, so long.
Gigantic monster loss in Darnell Wright. Huge loss. I'm with you. I think one of the things about it's funny is nobody watches offensive linemen, but the funny thing about that is when you talk about evaluation processes and recruiting, 5-star offensive linemen are kind of the easiest ones to figure out. Like you don't even need to know football, and you can just look at him and be like, that guy's good.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that he could slip into the first round, which, based off his play at the Senior Bowl, is pretty incredible for a guy that's projected to play right tackle. But I think he could play right tackle. I also think in a pinch that he could slip over and play left tackle. I just think he's incredibly versatile and going to be a really good player. And, the guy can do backflips, according to Cooper Mays, who, if you haven't heard, is fantastic on our YouTube channel. Okay, so this is kind of one that I think may ruffle some feathers, but Jeremy Banks, big loss, no worries, so long.
If I talk from an emotional perspective because of Jeremy Banks's attitude and character things, I would want to say so long, but you can't say so long. You got it. I say manageable. But I say he's somebody you're going to have a hard time replacing. But you want to be able to say so long because of what he did to the team at the end of last year. But the fact of the matter is that he was crucial to that defense through most of the year. So I'm going to say manageable.
Yeah, I don't think he was quite as good as maybe what you think. I thought he was going to have just an incredible year, and I thought he was pretty average. And then with whatever locker room distraction, I'm sorry, but based off what I know about Hendon Hooker and based off what I know about Joe Milton, who was part of breaking up that tussle in the locker room, I've got to pin it on Jeremy Banks. So I'm going to say so long. I think that Tennessee is better off without him. Okay, so I want to get to Hendon Hooker here in a bit, and it may surprise you, but Jerome Carvin, big loss, no worries, so long.
Is it big loss big loss manageable or no worries so long? I would say I'm between big loss and no worries. I'm going to go with no worries because I think Jerome Carvin was a solid blocker, but I don't think he was irreplaceable like Darnell Wright. I think you can actually replace Jerome Carvin a little bit easier than you can, a heck of a lot easier than you can Darnell Wright, for that matter.
I'm actually going to say big loss on that one, and I know you like his play as well. So I think that he was an underrated offensive lineman that probably was lost in the shadows of Darnell Wright and lost in the overall production of this offensive line. But I think Jerome Carvin is very, very good. Now we get to three that might surprise people. Jalin Hyatt, big loss, no worries, so long. So no worries would be you can replace him. It's manageable so long as you're better off without him. So Jalin.
Oh, I didn't know that was the criteria. Sorry, I'll say
a little bit for you.
I'll say no worries then. I don't want to say so long, like, oh, good riddance, Jalin Hyatt. But yeah, I say no worries. I think Dante Thornton is going to be better than Jalin Hyatt. There, I said it.
I'm going to go no worries as well because I think that slot position creates an awful lot of opportunities for players. I think we saw that Bayless Jones in 2021. So Jalin Hyatt took advantage of it. No knock against him. But he's an absolute speedster that was playing in the right position with the right players at this time. So as far as big loss, no worries, so long, I will go no worries. Definitely not so long. If you had another year out of him, you'd love to have it. Cedric Tillman, big loss, no worries, so long.
No worries. Cedric Tillman was not right half of last year and didn't play the other half, and Tennessee got their best wins without him. Not that I don't love Cedric Tillman, the player. I think you and I both agree he's got better NFL potential than Jalin Hyatt does. But I think Tennessee has so many receivers, and Josh Heupel's system is designed to get receivers open, so wide open, that I don't really think it's that big of a deal, quite honestly.
I'm even going to go so long, and the reason is, when Tennessee played their best football, he wasn't in the game because of injury, and I don't, maybe he never got in the flow. I mean, it was an early injury against Akron, but yeah, I'm kind of fine with that. And I guess the deciding factor in my mind for some of these guys is going to be the decision not to play in the bowl game. And I understand we're in a different era, but if you had somebody that is going to be a part of the bowl game, is absolutely committed a million times to this program, then that's a little bit different to me, and that will be the deciding factor in some of these guys. But I'm going to say so long, not to sound harsh. And then the last is Hendon Hooker, and we already had somebody weigh in on this that said Hooker was special, but I feel Heupel can grow a quarterback. So big loss, no worries, so long. Hendon Hooker, definitely not a so long. He was a great part of this program.
Yeah, I'm going to go big loss. Now, hear me out. I understand the hype behind Nico Iamaleava and what we saw from Joe Milton in the Orange Bowl. You and I both agree that Joe Milton's Orange Bowl performance was a little bit of fool's gold, right? We think it was more fool's gold than it was what we're going to see consistently next year.
Along those lines, I think that Clemson didn't take the game as seriously as Tennessee, and Clemson played a lot of soft coverage. So along those lines, yes, I do think it was fool's gold.
Yeah, so we agree that Hooker is better than Joe Milton. So then it would come to Hendon Hooker versus Nico Iamaleava. Yes, I think Nico Iamaleava could end up being better than Hooker, but then you throw in Hooker's leadership. And I mean, we were talking about Jeremy Banks breaking apart the team, but Hendon Hooker really, I mean, I've heard Cooper Mays on your show plenty of times. He wants to go to battle for him. He's willing to go to all-out war for Hendon Hooker. He didn't even care about where the ball was after Hooker fumbled when he tore his ACL. He was looking straight at Hooker the whole time. And I think that you can't just replace that with talent. So I'm going to go big loss. I think the intangibles matter.
Yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I think the intangibles matter. I think the leadership, I think the belief in what Tennessee was able to do before they had done anything stems largely from Hendon Hooker. I think that is a very big loss.